All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, How to Strengthen Your Marketing with Direct Mail in the Digital Media World. We're so excited to have you all here. My name is Alexa Arciero. I'm the marketing manager for South City Print. I'm joined by Elizabeth Moretto. She is our business development specialist. And then Alex Saunders, who is our direct mail max specialist. And in case you don't know about South City Print, we are a direct marketing company located in Charlotte, North Carolina, providing full service print and direct mail services since 1988. All right, so on our agenda today, some housekeeping before we start. We'll be recording this webinar and we'll send a follow-up email with a link afterwards. If you can all please stay muted until the end. Feel free to put any questions in the chat though, because at the end we'll be having a Q&A. And as a reminder, you're all in the running to win a free Monday tree, but you must be here at the very end of the presentation in order to claim your prize. So on our agenda today, we'll be going through the benefits of doing direct mail marketing, examples and best practices, the pains of direct mail, and then how to integrate with digital retargeting for better results. And then, as of course, we'll be doing our Q&A and ending with our money tree raffle. That being said, let's get started. All right, so what is direct mail marketing? This is just a quick high-level overview of what direct mail marketing is. It's pretty much any physical communication that you use to market your business via mail. Postcards are probably the most popular example, and that's what we typically focus on at South City Print and what we'll be using as our primary example throughout this webinar. Of course, there's also lots of room for creativity with direct mail marketing, and it can include things like promotional product gift boxes or even simple holiday cards that you send to your current customers. But why does direct mail work in 2021? Why are we having this webinar? Why are we all about, direct communication with your prospects and customers in 2021? There are so many reasons, but I just wanted to give you three high-level views. One is that it's interactive and engaging. By very nature, direct mail is shared, it's interactive, people like to engage with it, and there's science that backs that. Number two, it's popular and trusted among all generations. So people in the past have, viewed direct mail as kind of for older generations only. We think of direct mail as this dinosaur that was used in, for older kind of generations. But now we're seeing that millennials particularly love direct mail. They use it, they respond to it, and they look forward to it. And then finally, direct mail has little competition, meaning that your message will stand out, which is in marketing, that's what we're all looking for, right? So in fact, the average household gets 2 to 3 pieces of mail per day. And when you think about the average person who sees, roughly 2,900 digital marketing messages per day, that's a real statistic. Direct mail really does stand out. It has little competition, and that's just a great way to get your marketing message read. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So in 2021, we're all suffering from this digital fatigue, this digital overwhelm. Attention spans are shorter than ever before. There's an overwhelm of media vying for our attention on different streaming platforms, different social media, etc. And a way that we see we can break through this is with direct mail. So how can we do this? One of the biggest things why direct mail is so powerful is that 73% of American consumers prefer direct mail over all of their forms of marketing. And why is this? Like I said, direct mail is interactive and engaging. Research actually shows that holding a physical mail piece triggers desirability and improves the perception of the brand that sent that mail piece. In fact, the parts of our brains that control motivational responses are 20% more engaged viewing print advertising versus digital advertising. And of course, direct mail also contributes to 79% more brand recognition compared to digital ads. And again, this is because of just the very nature of direct mail being tangible, interactive, and preferred. And a lot of this also has to do with the fact that 92% of direct mail is opened. So when you compare that to the open rates of emails, which is 20 to 30%, it's mostly because many of us delete emails before you even read them. And postcards or direct mail in general is going to be automatically seen or opened. And of course, this all culminates in a high response rate of direct mail, which is 5% for prospect lists and 9% for house lists. And that might sound low, but when you compare that to digital only marketing, that only yields less than 1%, regardless of the channel used. So it's actually pretty high when it comes to response rate for marketing. And of course, direct mail has a high ROI. It is 29% return on investment for direct mail. And when you compare that to paid search ads, which gets 23% return on investment, and then online display ads at 16% investment, both very popular forms of digital advertising, that's pretty great return on investment. All right, so who can use direct mail? Pretty much everyone, but whether you're B2B or B2C, you can use direct mail to accomplish any of your marketing goals. At Sauce City Print, we're technically a B2B company, and we use direct mail on a monthly basis, sometimes weekly. And we have clients like nonprofit organizations, real estate agents, dentists, small businesses, large businesses that use direct mail to their benefit. So it really can be any industry. And how can you use it? There's so many ways. One way is by promoting donations and fundraisers. If you're a nonprofit, you can use it to lead people to physical locations or announce openings, reopenings, or events. And of course, you can use it to promote sales and customer offers. And Elizabeth actually has a really great example of this that she's going to now share with you all.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nordstrom is a huge proponent of direct mail, and that's because they actually went through a setback when they decided to cut direct mail from their programs in order to switch to an all digital platform. They did this because they thought it would save them money, but it ended up actually costing them money because they saw a dip in their foot traffic and their sales across all of their stores within a quarter, the first quarter after they cut direct mail. They ended up actually bringing it back because they knew that it was such an important part of their service, because people were just losing the emails that they were getting, or they just weren't reading them, so they weren't going into the stores. Whereas with that physical piece of mail, they were going into the store because they had a physical reminder that they either put on their counter or put in a drawer that was specifically for mail for the future. So they knew that they were going to go into Nordstrom and shop there. And they're very effective at their marketing, and we know that there's keys to effective marketing that they use. So we have 6 keys that we know are good and get you good results when you're doing direct mail. The most important one of those is your list. If you're going to ever think about doing direct mail, you need to have a good list, and you need to have a good defined target audience. So you're not just mailing to people who aren't going to necessarily interact with you. That list needs to be very specific. So if your target audience is, people 25 to 50, you have a certain household income, you can pare that list down and make sure that you're only having people who fall into your target audience. And then when you're designing your mail piece, you need to keep that target audience in mind. You want to make sure that your message and your imaging is something that's going to evoke a response from them, because they're the people you want to come back. And while you're designing, you also want to make sure you're personalizing it. It's a simple trick, but putting your recipient's name on the mail piece makes them become more strongly connected to your brand. And then you also want to include a call to action and an offer. If you want people to respond to your mail piece, you need to give them a reason to. So whether it's going to be $100 off their next time they're in, or free shipping, or 10% off, you need to give them a reason to respond, and then you need to tell them how you want them to respond, but also give them a deadline so that they are motivated to do it now. And then we always recommend doing a direct mail campaign. That's something because we do that because we see those best results from mailing 3 to 4 times over a few months. One mailing is great, it's better than nothing, but we know that the consistency and repetition is key to getting great results. And then lastly, but probably the most important, is you need to have a way to track your direct mail. If you have no way to track it, there's no way to attribute success. You don't know, you could get 15 new customers while you're mailing, but you don't know if they're coming from Google or they're coming from direct mail. There's multiple ways to do that, but you do need to make sure you have a way to track. But we know you're not experts, so we are the experts, so we always know that there's things when you need help, there's things to consider. The biggest things to consider are going to be, cost, design, time, and resources. Sorry, these are some good examples of direct mail pieces. But yeah, you want to consider cost, design, time, and resources. Now, those are going to be different for every company. Every company is different on what they need best. So if you're somebody who you don't have a lot of time, but you really want to do direct mail, going with a full service printer like we are might make more sense because they do everything for you. You can have a more customized design, and all you really need to do is do umbrella decisions on design and when you want us to do direct mail. But if you're somebody who end all be all, cost is the most important thing, going with an online provider might make more sense for you because you can save a little bit more money. Again, that goes to every company. Depends what works for you best. If it's all up to you, it's a decision you make yourself. And we know that there are pain points to direct mail, which is why we know that you need to make those decisions yourself. And that we know that because Compre Media did a study with 200 marketers last year through all industries on what was preventing them from working and using direct mail. And these are the top 6, but we're going to touch on the big 4. And the biggest challenge that they face is the cost of the campaign. We know it's expensive. There's nothing we can do to, bring down the cost of postage or bring down the cost of resources. But when we're working with a potential customer, we like to reframe the idea of cost in terms of, and ROI in terms of the value of a customer instead of your response rate. Yeah, you could spend $3,000 or spend $3,000 on a mail campaign and only see 4 results. And that sounds terrible, but if your immediate value of one customer is $3,000, that first customer makes you your money back and the other 3 customers are profit. So I just like to encourage everybody to think about what they value, what they like, the immediate value, but also the lifetime value of a new customer would be, and that will contribute to whether or not you think that direct mail is worth it. After that, it's going to be time. Like I said, you guys are busy. We're all busy. We don't really have a ton of time to devote to it. So in that instance, if you are struggling, but it's just time, maybe it is a good thing to consider a full service printer who will handle everything for you so that it takes the pressure off of you. And then the other major pain point that they're going to have is consumer interest. There is this perception in the industry that direct mail is dead. And we've touched on it a little bit already, but it's not. I mean, it's across all consumers, but especially the millennial brand, which covers people aged 25 to 40. It's the preferred marketing term because we've perceived it as more trustworthy, but also we can interact with it on our own time. I mean, I personally fall in that category, like Alexa said, and I just delete all my emails. If you send me an email, unless I know it's coming, it's going in the trash. I don't read it. I don't open it. I don't care. But I actively read every piece of mail that comes into my mailbox because I don't get a lot and I like getting mail. And then the last one, which is, I think, the challenge that leads to the other challenges the most, is tracking. Now, without a way to track, I mentioned this earlier, there's no way to attribute success to the direct mail campaign. And I think that's what starts to lead people to the idea that it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and it's no one ever responds with it, so why should I do it? And it's also what leads people down the path of choosing digital over direct mail. Digital is a lot easier to track and it's cheaper. So of course, people are going to decide, should I do direct mail or should I do digital? And that is when they start to go towards digital. And we actually have a solution that allows us to marry the 2 together so that you don't have to choose. It's essentially, you get the benefits of print, like the response rate and everything like that, but also the ability to track with digital marketing. And we actually have our specialist on the line. Her name is Alex, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about Direct Mail Max and how exactly we can combine direct mail with digital.
Thank you. So there's always been this thing, do I choose direct mail or do I choose digital? Like Elizabeth said, digital is so easy to track. It is super cheap when you look at the cost per click or the audience that you're able to reach when you compare that to an invoice of postage and print and just any print in general. So it's very easy to kind of look at your most expensive form of marketing and say, yep, we're going to take that away and we're going to push everything into things that are cheaper. When we look at the environment that we're in now, it's tough. We got to figure out what is working, what is not, knock off everything that isn't producing a positive ROI and strengthen on the things that are working. But again, if you're not tracking, you have absolutely no idea. So there is a solution that you don't have to choose between direct and digital. It's the perfect marriage between the two, and it's called Direct Mail Max. And what we're doing is for every one piece of direct mail that you're sending, we are turning that into an additional 8 to 16 touches for the fraction of a cost of a stamp. And the reason why we're doing that is because we know 80% of your sales or conversions are going to be made between that 8th and 12th contact. So we are providing you 10x the amount of exposure that you would get with just your singular mail piece alone. We're increasing your exposure. We are helping you track in one dashboard to make this so easy for you to log in at any point in time and evaluate, how is my campaign doing? Who is responding and what's going on? And the biggest reason why this works for you is because our customers that are using this digital with direct, they are seeing an average lift in response of 23 to 46%. Which is astronomical and almost hard to believe when you compare it to singular direct mail is a 0.25% to 1% response rate if you're lucky. And that's if you've got all those components in, the right list, the right design, the right amount of repetition, and your offer is amazing. So there are a lot of variables that go into making direct mail a success. And it can be difficult. And this is going to help you to handle all of those challenges. So the first thing that we do is something that's called social match. We've got 7 technologies that we utilize in conjunction with each other to really get you that omni-channel presence. And when we say omni-channel, what we mean is we're showing the exact same message to the exact same person multiple times over different platforms versus a multi-channel approach where your audience and your message shifts with each platform. Online on Facebook, you might be reaching out to a younger demographic with one certain message. And then maybe for my nonprofits, you're sending your end of year appeal letter with a completely different message and a different ask. So you've got a lot of good things going on for your brand, but how do you really know what's working? How do you unmuddy those waters and know, did this person come from this source or can I attribute it to this source? It is very difficult to track an offline channel like direct mail with online. All roads lead to your website. So it's very difficult. So we will utilize a suite of the 7 technologies that you see here. And the first one is Social Match. And what we do there is we take your physical mailing list and actually upload that to Instagram and Facebook and start to find those exact profiles on those accounts and do what's called, think of it as a pre-warm up, priming the pump, getting them ready to receive your message. That way, when they get your direct mail a couple days later, it's not brand new to them. They recognize the brand, they recognize the messaging because they've seen it before. That's the whole idea, getting in front of your audience as much as possible. So when they do get your direct mail piece, they're more likely to take an action. So what we'll be able to show to you in your dashboard is going to be how many ads we were able to display, how many clicks were received through these platforms, and ultimately how many accounts we were able to reach out of your mailing list. The next thing that we'll do is simply track your mail. It's pretty straightforward. We use an intelligent mail barcode that from the entry scan to the final destination scan, you're going to know exactly when your mail pieces were delivered, not only to give you peace of mind, but just to help you with all your other marketing efforts, whether that is sending out a follow-up email to that customer base, or that's a phone call or door knocking or whatever it is that you have going on in your marketing world, you can know how to time out that strategy properly. But mainly it's meant to give you peace of mind and knowing that your pieces were received. Next thing that we'll do is informed delivery. This is a service that's offered by the post office that's totally free. And what it is anybody that is signed up for it, they get an email every day. I get mine at 6 a.m. every morning, giving me a preview of exactly what is coming in my mailbox that day. That way, I don't have to go to the mailbox when I get home if I know that there's nothing in there that I need right away. It's convenient. It's so convenient, and that we call it convenience, but really it's just technology making us lazier and lazier, that now we don't even have to go check the mailbox. And it's really cool. So what we do here is, not only are you going to be able to check that your recipient actually received your postcard, but now you're going to be able to see how many times they opened that email, who from that email clicked and went directly back to your website. It's an interactive ad. So if they like what they see, they don't have to pick up the phone or call you or visit that brick and mortar location. They can just go right on your website and get the information that they need in an instant. The best part about this is the open rate. The open rate with informed delivery is astronomical because it's a trusted source. Everybody knows they're getting that email every morning from the USPS, so they open it, versus a cold phishing type email from a company that they've never heard before. We just go delete, delete, delete. But this is one that they're expecting and they open it. The open rate is huge. Next thing that we do is call tracking. Call tracking is not something new, but it is something that is new where we are utilizing it for response of your direct mail. We dedicate a local or toll-free number to your mail pieces. That way, when somebody does call, if they do call, you're going to know exactly who was calling, what day and time they called. All of the calls are tracked and recorded. So not only you can prove direct attribution to your mailing list, but now you can also use this as a lead gen tool. You can use this Excel spreadsheet of your leads to follow up with them, whether that's a text campaign, whether that's another postcard to the address that they called in from, whether that's listening to the phone calls, so you can make sure that your receptionists are handling all your incoming calls properly. Calls these days are few and far between. So if you do have people, or if you have a business that is still phone based, this is crucial. This is essential to you in making sure that you know exactly what's going on within your organization. To give you an idea, I just had a client that I spoke to yesterday that is a nonprofit, and they have call tracking. And I said, oh, we've only got one phone call. Don't worry about it. And she said, no, this person actually called to verify the address to send the check to. They got the postcard and they noticed it was a different address than they had been sending their donation to the last 4 years. Come to find out, this poor woman, this 85-year-old woman, was sending her donation to a different organization because they had the same address in the name of the camp was in the address. So then she had this epiphany of knowing, well, this lady didn't just stop donating because she didn't want to. She was sending her check to the wrong place. And that is huge. She was a huge donor. So it just gives you so much insight into what's happening into your business so you can better make smarter marketing decisions. And the next thing that we do is online follow-up. So we know it's an online world right now. Everybody does everything online. We barely visit a brick and mortar location if they're even open. We don't like to pick up the phone to call people. We like to text. We like to go find things on our own. Everybody has a computer at their fingertips. They're not going to waste time calling these businesses to get quotes or get information. So we know that the catalyst to the website traffic is your postcards, is your direct mail. They get the piece, they go online, they look around, maybe throw something in their cart, and then they leave. They do absolutely nothing. They don't give you a phone number. They don't give you an email. They give you nothing. And then that lead is lost until you follow up with them again. So the purpose of this online follow-up through Google is so anybody that hits your website from any source, they are going to be picking up a cookie, and now they're going to be in that follow-up system. So you can follow up with them in your sleep. It's automatic and it happens in an instant. I can almost guarantee that everybody on this call has shopped for something online and they've experienced this Google retargeting or this Google follow-up. This platform is huge. The next thing that we do is social media follow-up. So anybody that visits your website, once they pick up that cookie, we're able to identify their social media profiles through Instagram and Facebook and start to follow them in those accounts as well. And some of us might think this is Big Brother-ish or it's kind of creepy, but these are people that are raising their hands saying, I'm interested in your product or service. I'm on your website searching. You just have to do your part to convert them, to nurture them into that conversion rate. And what did we say earlier? It takes 8 to 16 touches. So if you're just doing a one-time mailer, it's not going to cut the mustard. You have to be doing more, and you absolutely have to be following up with the people that visit your website. They're just not ready to purchase yet. But if you're not following up with them, your competition more than likely is. So those two platforms are huge, and we always save the best for last. Lead Match. So what Lead Match does is identify anonymous website visitors that come to your site from any source. Not only are they identifying a physical address for these visitors, but they're also providing you, I'm also providing you the top 5 URLs they visited within your website, how long they were on those URLs, and how many times they visited those pages. So essentially, this is building you your most viable prospecting list that you could ever have. For a real estate agent or a nonprofit, there's no list vendor that can provide us a list of people that are interested in selling their homes right now. It doesn't exist, but there's nobody else better to follow up with than the folks that are on your website. They're interested in some way, shape, or form. And again, it's just your job to nurture them into that conversion margin by following up. Following up is critical. So not only are you going to identify anonymous website visitors, but for the first time ever, I'm going to be able to tell you out of your website traffic, who of those people matched back to your mailing list. So you've never been able to see and prove direct attribution of your website visitors and relate it back to your mailing list until now. So you're going to have brand new leads that you've never mailed to before. And then you're also going to have a list of matches, we call them. And these were people that came to your website specifically from your direct mail campaign. So who do you think you should follow up with the most? Those people. Those people are the most interested versus the people that haven't even visited your website. Do they still need time to get there? Yes, keep mailing to them, but let's shift our energy and focus on the people that are actually responding and going to our website. And we're going to know exactly what they were looking at. So you'll have one dashboard where you can log in and see all of this data. Now, honestly, data is scary, right? How do we know what it is that we're looking at? I've got a ton of ad displays. I've got some clicks. I've got web visitors. What does this mean? I have no idea. And that's okay. Analyzing data is difficult, but if you're not analyzing and evaluating and always tracking, what are you doing? We're just kind of putting on our blinders and doing these spray and pray type campaigns, crossing our fingers, hoping we get an ROI. There is a better way to do it. So part of our service to you with Direct Mail Max is once you actually run a campaign, we will both evaluate this campaign in the dashboard and explain to you what these numbers mean and how to take this data and actually utilize it to make a smart marketing decision of your best next move. And ideally, you want to get those leads down out of your dashboard and continue to mail to them and keep this going on sort of an auto set, right? Continue to get the people that are interested and follow up with them until they convert. That's the entire idea of this. We're not just going to run this campaign for 30 days and say, yep, it worked. That's great. Thank you. Marketing is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You have to be in it for the long haul. But having this data and this insight makes you a better, smarter marketer so you know what those next decisions are. And here are some real results that we've had with a Direct Mail Max campaign of an existing customer. So over 19,000 pieces mailed, almost 800 web visitors, 28,000 ad displays. Think of what that would cost just if we mailed 28,000 postcards, 280,000 postcards just one time. I don't want to pay that bill. This platform is a fraction of a cost of a stamp. It's nowhere even close to what postage costs. And they had over 400 leads. Even if they close one or two of those, they're back in the green. So it does work if you do it right. You just have to make sure your successful actions are in with your direct mail prior to adding any type of add-on. It's not magic, right? It does work and it works wonders if everything else is in as far as your list, your design, and a great website. So we'll open it up to some Q&As. I think we actually had one question in the chat already.
All right, let's see what we got. Elizabeth, do you mind opening? I'm not sure if I'm able to see.
Let's see. If I haven't seen results from the direct mail in the past, will this program work for me? Good question. So that the direct mail has never gotten the proper attribution ever. We've always known it's really been successful, but it's so hard to track because you have an offline channel and an online channel. So you have to go back and pick the campaign apart. How many times did you mail? Did you mail once? There's a problem. Did you mail 3 times but didn't have an offer? There's a problem. Did you mail 6 times and didn't have a phone number or didn't have a website for people to go to? There's a problem. So whenever you look at, did my direct mail campaign work? You really have to look at the components of it. Repetition, consistency, the right list, the right design, and tracking. If any of those are out, of course your campaign's not going to work because you don't have direct attribution. You have no way of tracking it. So I'd be interested, Sarah, if you want to have a one-off conversation offline with Elizabeth, we can help evaluate maybe what would have happened with your campaign previously, and obviously not do those same things and work to improve to get you a better response. We're here to help you build better, stronger campaigns and get better results, because at the end of the day, if you're happy, you're reordering, everybody's winning here, right? And you're getting better, stronger customers. Great question.
Any other questions? All right.
It doesn't look like there's any
Well,
other questions.
feel free to send over emails to Elizabeth and Alexa, to follow up if you guys want to do some breakout sessions here and talk one-on-one about your business and your current marketing strategy and see how this might be a good fit for you. We can put together some pricing and figure out what your pain points you are having and how to help you make more money.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for this webinar. We hope it was helpful and insightful. Like I said, you can visit us online. You can call us at 704-529-0555 or follow us also on social media to know about future webinars, offers, events, etc. But thank you so much for joining us.